For today's class, I recommend having 2 blocks, belts, some sort of couch cushion or pillow nearby, and we are going to start standing up. So find yourself oriented, looking towards the screen. Begin with your palms turned forward with a great big shoulder shrug. Inhale all the way up, and exhale back and down. And let's repeat. Great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. One more time. Great big shoulder shrug, a great big yawn. Inhale all the way up. And exhale back and down. And then from here, fan your fingers. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale, press your breath out, pull your belly in. Once again, turn your palms forward. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Inhale up. Exhale, press your breath out. Yawn. One more time. Great big shoulder shrug. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, release. Now make soft fists. Put a bend in your knees. Unstick your heels, and let's go for a twist. Let your fist strike the upper portion of your chest. So if you're a gorilla beating your chest, that's where you want to strike, on the front side of your body. And on the back side of your body, soft fist strikes those bottom back ribs, bottoms of the shoulder blades. Again, unstick your heels, keep a soft bend in your knees, and twist. So this is a little Qigong exercise that you might do first thing in the morning to get the blood flowing, but also start to loosen up chest congestion, help you cough out the phlegm. And let's come to neutral. Once again, comfortable distance apart with your feet, knees slightly bent, palms forward, great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhale up, exhale back, head down. And then with an inhale, take both arms all the way up and overhead. And press your breath out, pull your belly in. Turn your palms forward, great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. Knees unlocked. As you inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. This time as you exhale, lower your arms level with your shoulders. Palms turn forward, fingers spread. With a bend in your knees, inhale, open wide. And exhale around like you're hugging a beach ball. Great big inhale, open, open, open. Exhale, hug. Just like that, keep moving. Inhale, big open breath. Exhale, hug. One more time. Great big inhale, open sesame. Exhale, hug. And this time as you inhale, open, stay open. And then release your arms behind your back, clasping your hands together. Interlace your fingers. Do a shoulder shrug up, back and down, and press those thumbs down your tailbone, squeezing your shoulder blades together. You're welcome to stay here. Or take your feet wide. Bend your knees generously and hinge over. Let gravity help pull those arms away from your back any amount at all. There's 2 options. You could be bent over, as I am, or you could stay upright with the elbows pulling away from your back. You want this to be a shoulder stretch, not an elbow strain. So do make sure your elbows are unlocked, slightly bent, so that you emphasize stretch in the shoulders, not an overextension of the elbows. If you are in that forward fold, release your hands. Well, in fact, everybody can release their hands to their hips, hands around to their lap, and slowly inhale, roll all the way up to standing. Big shoulder shrug, palms forward. Exhale back, head down. Let's inhale, both arms up and overhead once again. And exhale, release arms out to that T position. Knees unlocked. Big inhale, stretch, open your heart. And this time as you exhale, give yourself a big hug. Wrap your arms up. Fingers are below your armpits, and you're going to wrap up nice and tight. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Even tick-tock your head side to side. Let your shoulders melt away from your ears. Have a nice, long, elegant neck. Stay here, tick-tocking, yawning, knees unlocked, feet a comfortable distance apart. Or if your arms tangle further, you have the option of double crossing your arms. Shoulders down, elbows pressed forward. Waistline and belly pull back in against your spine as your elbows press forward. Kind of lean into that spot between your shoulder blades. Take great big breaths. Now notice which arm you have on top, because from here you're going to release, let your arms swing a little bit, start crossing the other arm on top, and give yourself another big hug. Shoulders down away from your ears, fingers down below your armpits, wrap up nice and tight. A nice long neck, relax your jaw, maybe even yawn. Big breaths. Even here, when you're giving yourself a hug, take some nice deep breath and try getting breath into those back ribs. Stay here breathing deeply, leaning into that spot between your shoulder blades, or double cross your arms if they do that, and press those elbows forward. Same thing, pulling your belly, your front ribs in against your spine as you press your elbows forward. Toes spread, knees unlocked, deep, chesty breaths. Kind of breathe into that space between your shoulder blades. Get those back ribs to spread apart a little bit. From here, inhale. And exhale, release. All right, I'm not the best model, but you can kind of see where I might have the hint of a collarbone. And I'm not the best model there. Oh, there you go. There's a little bit of collarbone. So you want to find your collarbones. And where your collarbone interacts with your sternum. Sternum is that dagger-shaped bone running down the midline of your chest. Find where your sternum meets your collarbone. And there's what I call the inside corner pocket. So find that inside corner pocket, and you're going to pin that rib space, that hollow, in deep. So use your fingertips, press into that hollow, that rib space, and then tip your head back and away from it. So I've pinned on the right side of my chest, so I'm letting my head fall over to the left, back and to the left. And then for even more stretch, bottom lip juts out over the top lip as you pout. And of course, you keep breathing. And then release. And we'll do the same thing, inside corner pocket on the other side. So find that collarbone and pin that rib space, that hollow, in. Use your fingertips to push into that rib space. Tip your head back and away, away and back from that spot. If I'm pinning the left side of the chest, my head's tipping over to the right and back. And again, you can pout if you like, bottom lip out over your top lip to get a little bit more neck stretch. And then unpout, slowly put your head on straight. Release your arms. Great big inhale, arms come all the way up and overhead. And exhale, release. All right, for this next neck stretch, inhale, both arms up and overhead, palms turn forward. Bend your elbows, make moose arms or field goal arms, palms forward, shoulders down. I'm going to turn my back to you so we can all go the same direction. This is the right side. The trick to getting the stretch on the right side of my neck is to draw that right shoulder blade, that right elbow down, in, towards my spine, down away from this guy, in towards my spine. At the same time, turn my head away from it and tip my chin down into the opposite armpit. So I'm looking down into the left armpit and I'm pulling down on that right arm. This will give you a stretch of the trapezius muscle that it connects at the base of your skull onto the shoulder blade. Right about that bra snap in the middle of your back and alongside your spine on both sides. So pulling down on that shoulder blade and tipping your head away from it gives you a stretch of the upper trapezius. And then release. Inhale, both arms up and overhead. Make like moose. Pull your shoulder blades, your elbows down. You can drop that right hand, look down into your right armpit, tucking your chin into that right armpit, and working that left shoulder blade down your back. Get that left upper trapezius to stretch. And of course, whatever you choose to do, your knees are unlocked, your toes are relaxed, you're breathing. And release. All right. Great big inhale, arms all the way up. And exhale. Press your breath out, pull your belly in. Find your front ribs. Hands come to those front ribs. And as you inhale, feel your ribs expand outward. And as you exhale, press in with your hands. Press your breath out. Tuck those ribs in against your spine. Like you're lacing up a corset. Big inhale, expand. And exhale, lace it up. Two more just like that. Big, expansive chest breaths. And exhale, tuck those front ribs in like you're getting tickled. One more time. This is all prep. And now you're going to inhale. Exhale all the breath out. Keep the breath out, but then expand your chest as if you were drawing breath in. So you're going to empty the breath out, close your throat, don't let any breath come in, and then move those ribs like you are inhaling and expanding out. And then when you actually need to inhale, the trick is to relax your tummy first and then actually inhale. The secret is to relax your tummy first, otherwise you might get a belly cramp. So it looks like this. Big inhale. Exhale all the breath out. Throat is closed, breath is not coming in, but I'm inhaling, opening my chest without sucking in air, just expanding the chest. And then when I need to actually inhale, belly relaxes, and then I inhale. Now let's do 3 cycles together. Big inhale. Exhale all the breath out. Inhale without pulling in air. Relax your tummy, and then inhale. 2 more. So we're trying to loosen up the diaphragm, trying to loosen up those intercostal muscles in between the ribs. And we're going to do that same funky Uddiyana breathing technique again. Means belly flying up. We're going to do that same belly flying up technique again. And as you hold the breath out and you open the chest as if you were sucking air in, you're going to shift side to side. We're going to get those side ribs to flare, to spread it, to stretch a little bit more. And then when you need to inhale again, come to neutral, relax your tummy, and then inhale. But we do 2 cycles there. Big inhale. All the breath out, hold it out. So we did side to side, and of course you could probably guess what's coming up next. Front to back. Big expansive chesty breath. All the breath out. Hold the breath out. Expand the chest. Chest forward, chest back. Chest forward, chest back. When you need to inhale, come to neutral, relax your tummy, and inhale. 1 more. Now, no more funky breathing. Hands on the hips, and see if you can isolate your chest from your hips and stir the pop. Chest forward to the side, back, to the side, forward to the side, back to the side, around and around one way, and around the other way. Trying to isolate, separate the chest from the hips. And then finally, shoulder shrug up, back and down, hands on your hips. Do your best Wonder Woman pose, big open-hearted breath. As you exhale, tuck those front ribs in. Put on your spandex suit with your knees slightly bent. Zip up your abs, lengthen your lower back. Do your best Wonder Woman with long, elegant neck. Shoulders down away from your ears. Big, confident, chesty breath. And relax. All right. Stepping wide. You might consider orienting yourself sideways so you can still glance at the screen. Take a giant step back with your left foot. You can put your right elbow on your lap. Let that right arm dangle. Let that right shoulder blade peel away from your spine. Chin is tucked, tail is tucked, belly is lifted up against your spine as you allow that left shoulder blade to peel away from your spine. And even breathe into those back ribs a little bit more spread across your shoulder, across your back ribs. Both feet solidly planted on the ground. You have a lap to rest your elbow on, and then reverse the direction of that arm circle. And then come to neutral and begin to tick-tock forward and back, like a pendulum on a grandfather clock. A little bit more oomph each and every time you sweep forward, and maybe synchronize breath with movement so that as you inhale, you stretch and lengthen into those side ribs. And as you exhale, release. Inhale, stretch and lengthen, and exhale. Two more just like that. Big stretch. Pushing into that bottom elbow. Getting even more side elongation. And with an inhale, come all the way up. Air guitar around to the other side. So just pivot your feet, turn them to go the other direction. Make a lap to rest your left elbow on, and let that right arm dangle. Circling around and around. Relax your toes. Make sure that back heel is kicking away from you so that back foot stays solidly planted on the ground. And reverse the direction. Dangle that arm around the other way. Keep your belly pulled into your body, your tail tucked down between your thighs, head hanging. And begin to tick-tock front to back. And synchronize breath with movement. Inhaling, stretching, exhaling, dropping. Inhaling, stretching, lifting, lengthening, and exhale, drop. Inhale, stretch, lengthen, maybe press into that bottom elbow. Exhale, drop. Two more big stretchy breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, stretch, 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 and exhale. And then this last time. Inhale, stretch, reach, air guitar all the way up. Good. Let's turn toes out like a ballerina. Come on down into horse stance. So you have a wide stride between your feet so that when you drop your hips as low as you can go, your knees stay over your heels. They do not go towards your toes. Knees are behind your toes, over your heels. Hands braced on your thighs. Fingers can be turned in or out. Can be on fists. Keep your knees pressing wide as you drop that right shoulder in and turn to look over your left. Breathe underneath that right shoulder blade. And inhale up. And let's switch sides. So indeed, this is with your right side now. Right shoulder blade dropping in. Letting that right shoulder blade peel away from your spine. It's Sunday morning. I get my right and left confused sometimes. I just rolled out of bed. Inhale, come to neutral. And exhale, switch. Drop that left shoulder in. How lovely is it that we get to roll out of bed and do yoga class in our jammies at home. We don't have to drive anywhere. Inhale, come to neutral. We don't have to shower first. We can shower after. Being stuck at home isn't all bad, I guess. And then come back to neutral. All right, you're gonna drop your hands down towards the ground. Now, if your hands don't quite reach the floor, find your blocks, put your hands on something, and turn your toes in. Toes in, heels out, hands touching down on something. It could be the blocks or on the floor. You're gonna lengthen your back, nice and long. And as you come into this tabletop position with your back, there's a tendency for your guts to spill out. So find your front ribs, find your belly, and pull them up away from the floor, in against your spine to support your midsection. Try lifting some of the weight out of your hands, maybe coming up onto fingertips. So try not to collapse into your hands. Lift weight out of your fingertips by lifting your belly in against your spine. Knees are unlocked, toes are turned in, pinky toes flare. Turn to look over your right shoulder. And then turn to look over your left shoulder. Just turning your head one way, then the other. And then drop your head, tuck your chin tucking in towards your chest. Round your back like you're a bucking bronco, trying to push somebody off. Tuck in your front ribs, tuck your tail. Keep your knees unlocked. Let the back of your neck spread long, wrinkle-free, and come to neutral. All right, now right hand goes directly beneath your nose, like you had a runny nose. You're gonna turn to look over your left shoulder. Sweep that left hand around your sacrum, that tag in the back of your pants. Put that left hand on the tag in the back of your pants, and then let your head hang. So now your right ear is hanging towards your right shoulder. Make sure that right shoulder shrugs away so your ear doesn't actually contact the shoulder. And lift your front ribs, lift your belly up into your body as you let your head hang. And then with your head hanging, nod your head. Kind of like a sideways head hanging nod. Tuck and untuck your chin. And then come to neutral, and let's do it on the other side. Left hand replaces right. Right hand sweeps up around to your tail, tag in the back of your pants. You're going to turn your head, look sideways, and then let your head fall off. Let your left ear hang towards your left shoulder. Shrug that left shoulder away from your left ear. And with your head hanging, nod. It's like a head hanging sideways nod thing. Bit of a neck stretch if you got a tight neck. And then come to neutral. Head south. Drop your head down towards the ground. Keep your knees unlocked, toes turned in, pinky toes flared. When you get stable, you have the option of bringing your hands behind your back, interlacing your fingers, pressing your knuckles towards the ceiling once again. With your head hanging heavy, turn your head side to side like you're unscrewing a light bulb. And dump out any negative thoughts, self-criticism, any of that unnecessary nonsense. Unscrew your light bulb and dump out those thoughts. Shoulders lift away from your ears so you have a nice, long, elegant neck. And then hands come to your hips. Hands slide down your legs all the way down to the ground. You're going to bend your knees, begin to round your back, climb your hands up your lap, slowly come all the way up to standing. Heels in, toes out. Big inhale, open sesame. And as you exhale, bend your knees. Come into that plie, squat-like pose, goddess pose. Big inhale, reach for the sky. And exhale, bend your elbows, bend your knees. Inhale up. Keep your spine vertical. It's like you're sliding up and down on a pole. We're kind of yoga pole dancing here. Bend your elbows, sliding up and down. Big inhale up. And one more time, get low. And then with an inhale, come all the way up. And let's step the feet together. Take a moment to shake out a leg or two. And Get ready for takeoff because we're going to step wide once again and we're going to come into a warrior two pose. So take your legs nice and wide, ankles as wide apart as your outstretched wrists, so ankles underneath wrists, nice wide stride between your feet. And then turn those right toes to the right, turn your left toes to the right. Pivoting this back foot's important. You want the toes turning in initially. There's a tendency for the toes to try to turn out as we progress into the pose. And we never want the toes to go more than 90 degrees. You don't want the foot to go anywhere past where I have it positioned right now. So I start by overcorrecting a little bit, knowing that the toes will try to smear and flare out. Turning in a little bit allows the hips a little bit more freedom in this pose. Begin with an inhale, arms come all the way up and overhead. As you exhale, palms are turned forward, arms come level with the shoulders. Big, expansive, chesty breath. Exhale, hug a beach ball. Pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly. Keep your belly pulled in. As you inhale, open your heart, and then allow that right knee to bend. Palms turn down. Glide over into your warrior two. Breathe. Big, expansive, open heart. Big, expansive arms, fingers spread wide. Allowing that right knee to bend generously. Inhale, lift up, arms come up. And as you exhale, press your breath out, tuck those front ribs in, resume the lunge. Inhale, come up. Exhale, drop down, maybe get a little bit lower. Inhale up. Exhale, drop down. One more time. Big inhale all the way up. And our grand finale for warrior two on this side, drop it like it's hot, get down into it. As low as you can go. Now, we did a little bit of work to separate the ribs from the hips. Try positioning your ribs dead center over your hips. Your spine is still vertical, straight up and down. You're looking at yourself in the mirror. You might want to shift the chest one way or the other to put it centered over your hips. And then with an inhale, lift up. And release. Let's pivot feet to go the other direction. Again, overcorrect that back heel. It will try to turn out on you. Start by turning in first. Feet as wide as apart as your outstretched arms. Big inhale up. Exhale, arms level with your shoulders. Palms turn forward. Big open heart here. Hug a beach ball. Feel those front ribs pull in. That spread between your shoulder blades. You want to keep those ribs pulled in. Inhale, open your heart. And exhale, drop into that warrior two. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, drop a little lower. Keep on breathing, keep on moving. How about one more breath here? One more flap of your wings here, lift up, and exhale, get down into it. Again, and center those ribs over your hips. Shift your rib cage one way, then the other. Put your spine on straight. I'm just trying to find that neutral spine. As if you were just standing here. Your legs have to change position, but the rest of the body stayed the same. And then inhale, come all the way up. And release. All right. Now step your feet together. I'm going to flip my notes to the next page. There we go. And we're going to take the feet wide again in just a moment. If you're like me and you're getting a little bit of a Sunday morning foot cramp, that happens. You might consider turning the toes backwards on one foot and turning the toes backwards on the other. Kind of stretching the top side of the foot. You want to get a little 2-for-1 action on this? Go ahead, take both arms up and overhead. Interlace your fingers. Turn your palms towards the sky, pressing the heels of your hands towards the ceiling, the sky, wherever you happen to be. Shift your weight over onto that left foot. Unlock that left standing knee and flip the toes of the right foot backwards. Stretching the top side of that right foot, maybe press the heel of that right hand up a little bit more. And let's switch. Standing knee is unlocked. Pressing up through the heel of the left hand, stretching the top side of the left foot. And release, come to neutral. All right, let's step feet wide once again. Once again, turn all 10 toes to the right. Turn that right foot out, turn your left foot in, position that back foot, just in case it tries to sneak out on you. It doesn't go beyond 90 degrees, so we overcorrect to begin with. Big inhale, both arms up and overhead. Hook your thumbs together and let your hips tick-tock side to side. So we turn, you leave your arms here. We turn this right leg out so that the thigh bone rotates in the hip joint in such a way that you're actually able to deepen this hip crease, sort of hinge over that thigh. So turning this foot out is important for that thigh bone in pelvis alignment that allows you to tip over into this triangle pose. So let's do it. Tip over, deepen that right hip crease, keep that right knee unlocked, and then come all the way over into your triangle pose. Bottom hand weighs nothing. You can rest it on a block outside the shin. You don't trust yourself, or let it rest lightly on your shin. Abs pulled in, front ribs engaged like you're being tickled. Top hand in the air, palm turned forward, and imagine high-fiving somebody. And when you high-five somebody, you brace yourself so that you can really smack their hand hard. Gonna exhale, pull in those front ribs, high-five somebody, and then turn your chest open a little bit more. Keep those front ribs pulled in. If you keep anchoring, pushing that top hand into an imaginary friend's hand, that bottom hand weighs nothing, and you can keep that right knee unlocked. And then with an inhale, reach for the sky, come all the way up, and let's switch sides. So you might want to position that block on the other side just in case. Ideally, ultimately, though, you're engaging your abs, so you don't really need to collapse down into that block. You can let your hand rest lightly on your shin, and you won't hyperextend this knee by collapsing all your weight onto that leg. So feet are wide. Wide part is your outstretched arms, ankles underneath wrists. Back foot angled in. Both arms up and overhead. Hooking your thumbs together. Warm up those hips a little bit with some tick-tocking. And rib shifting. Ribs and hips independent of one another. And then go ahead, let that left hip crease deepen and lengthen out over that left leg. Hand weightless. Holding in your front ribs, bracing your core like you're high-fiving somebody, like you're getting tickled as you high-five somebody. Turn your chest open a little bit more. Go ahead, raise your hand if you got this. Keep breathing. And then with an inhale, come all the way out. Whew. We're just gonna pivot right back to that first side. Again, if you have two blocks, it's nice. You can just have those blocks there waiting for you. Feet go wide, toes turn in. Again, overcorrect that back foot just in case. Big inhale, arms up and overhead. Tip your hips. Keep that right knee unlocked as you lengthen out over it. Coming into that triangle pose again. High five an imaginary friend. Pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly. Lift weight out of that bottom hand. Lift weight off that front leg. Now this top hand's going to come to your top hip. Now guide this front knee to bend and swing wide in the direction of the pinky toe. So I've got my hand here. I'm steering that right knee to the right in the direction of the pinky toe. And then I replace the hand with my elbow. And let the elbow do the same job. Swing that knee wide. Top hand onto my hip. I'm going to pull my tummy in, turn my chest open a little bit more. Front ribs pulled in, shoulder blades onto my back, shrugging out of that bottom shoulder. Top hand comes into the air alongside my ear, like I'm checking for deodorant. Armpit turns towards the face, lengthening out through pinky finger, maybe sweeping back through the thumb. Steering that bent knee a little bit longer, a little bit lower. This is your side angle pose. Let your heart shine open, let your shoulders shrug down your back. And you can use that bottom arm to lift your ribs off your lap. Now let's take this top hand out in front of you like you're wiping a table. Smack that table. Shrug that top shoulder onto your back. Turn your chest open a little bit more. And use that bottom elbow as leverage to turn your chest open a little bit more. Continue to wipe that table, and then take the back of your hand, slip it around the small of your back. Rotating, turning open a little bit more. If you wanted to take the bind, you would invite that inside elbow down lower. Maybe work the elbow lower than your inner thigh and flip that hand back to make a connection. And then unwind. Inhale, come all the way up, and let's switch sides. The trick to that bind, to flipping that arm around, is to get the elbow lower than the inseam, the elbow lower than your inner thigh. So get your elbow lower than your inner thigh. You gotta take your feet fairly wide apart. You can drop your hips quite low. All right, so wide stride between your feet. Left toes to the left, right toes to the left as well. Big inhale, both arms up and overhead. Tip over into that triangle pose. High five an imaginary friend, pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly. Then use that left hand to swing that left knee wide. Elbow on thigh. Shrug out of the bottom shoulder. And that top arm alongside your ear, turning your armpit towards your face. If it's a hot, sweaty day, make sure you put on your deodorant. Do your best to breathe. Shrugging out of that bottom shoulder so that there's space for you to turn your chest open a little bit more. Take that top hand, wipe a table. Smack the table, shrug that top shoulder onto your back, get a little bit more chest rotation. You want to turn your chest into position here, and then continue wiping that table off the side of your hip. Maybe take the back of your hand around the small of your back. I want to go around your waist, not your butt. And then without looking, invite your chest, your elbow, to the inside of that leg. And maybe flip your hand around to make a connection behind your back. Don't forget to breathe. It's a challenging one, challenging pose. And then on one. And inhale, come all the way up. Oh, exhale, release. Let's step the feet together. Okay. We're going to go for a warrior one. For warrior one, you might consider orienting yourself to look towards the screen. So if you've got more than one mat and you have them laid out in a plus configuration or an X, you want to step on the mat that faces the screen. I'm going to turn sideways just so you can kind of see the stride length I get between my feet, but I encourage you to stay here so that you're not turning your head sideways to see what's happening. So standing at the front edge of your other mat, looking at the screen, you're going to take a giant step back with your right foot. Big step. And notice there's width as well as length between your feet. If there was an imaginary line down the middle of your mat, one foot is on one side of the line, the other foot is on the other side of the line. So there's width between your feet, not just length. Now let me show you the length between the feet. Length between your feet is pretty substantial. Notice my back heel is lifted. I am pivoting on the toes of the back foot so I can swing my back hip forward. Swing that right hip forward. And I'm pivoting on the ball of the foot, so I'm not torquing the knee. I haven't planted the heel. Front knee is bent. Arms come up. V for victory arms. Shoulders down away from your ears. Heads on level and straight. As you press into that back heel, some people call this a crescent lunge. V for victory arms. Palms facing one another. Heads on level and straight. And then release, step forward. And as you step forward, as you step that right foot forward, can you cross that right leg behind? And squeeze your thighs together. Let me get both feet on screen for you. So that right leg crossed behind, squeezing your thighs together like you got a pee. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, relax your shoulders, put your head on level and straight. And release your left hand down. Stretch up long through the right side of your body. and over into a side stretch. And inhale, release. I'm going to step back into that same side. Still have that right foot back. Still in your crescent lunge, front knee is bent. Doesn't really show very well on the camera, but this front knee is bent. Back leg is straight. I'm on the ball of the back foot, pressing that back heel down. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, left hand down, that left hip crease. Drop that left hip crease down. Lengthen the right side of your body over into that side stretch. We're still on that first side of this warrior one, incorporating a bit of a side stretch. Now in this side stretch, your top palm is flat to the ground. I'm going to take that hand, lengthen out through the pinky finger, sweep back through the thumb, maybe add a little bit of a back bend, a little bit more chest opening. And then slowly inhale, lift up. Same arm, still in the air. You're going to take that arm diagonal across. Try clipping your elbow to the outside of the knee. Bring your hands together for namaste. Turn to look over your left shoulder. And unwind. Step forward. We're going to go through that whole series on the other side. So again, I recommend orienting yourself to look at the screen. You're not tweaking your neck to see what's going on. Most of this you'll be looking towards the screen for. Take a giant step back with your left foot. You want length and width between your feet. Kind of use up that whole yoga mat. That's what the front view looks like. Show you the side view. You're rolling that left hip forward. So your hips are squared forward towards the front edge of your mat, front knee is bent. Arms come up in a V for victory. Pressing into that back heel. Your crescent lunge, warrior one variation. Release your hands to your hips. You're going to take this back leg, step forward, cross it behind. So you end up with your legs crossed, squeezing your thighs together. Inhale, both arms up. Right hand to your hip, over into that side stretch, letting the left side of your body yawn open. Squeezing your thighs together to control this. And inhale up. Remember, this is the arm that's going to be in the air in a moment. We're going to resume that warrior one, that wide stride. Right hand is on your hip, your lap. Left arm is up, over into that side stretch again. Front knee is bent, back leg straight. Palm is flat, lengthening out through the pinky finger, sweeping back through the thumb, getting a little bit more of a back bend in your side stretch lunge. And finally, take that top arm diagonal across. You're up on the toes of the back foot, so you can pivot, rotate the entire side line down towards the ground. Namaste your hands, turn your chest. And then unwind and step forward. Ooh. Got one more standing pose for you. I'm going to go for a little dancer pose. Shift your weight over onto the left foot. Shrug your shoulders up, back, and down. Hitchhike your thumbs out to the side. Pivot. You're not pivoting. Shoulders up, back, and down. You're going to reach back with that right hand. Grab a hold of that right foot. Try working your hand around to the pinky toe, big toe side of the foot. Thumb print and toe print coming together. Shoulders back and down, chest lifted. Extend that free arm in the air. And breathe. Going for a quadricep stretch, trying to drag that heel in towards your butt. And then if it works for you, standing knee can stay soft. Your thighs can stay narrow. And to kick back into your dancer pose. And do your best to keep on breathing. And slowly release. And we'll do the same on the other side. Shoulders up, back, and down. Standing on your right leg. Reaching back with your left to grab your left foot. Big toe and thumb come together. Right arm in the air. And kick it. And then release. All right. Coming to the very front edge of your mat. Got a spider dropping in on me here. I climb up. Okay. Coming to the very front edge of your mat. Big inhale, arms come all the way up and overhead. As you exhale, bend your knees, swan dive down into a forward fold. Coming into that forward fold, find your equipment, wherever it may have gotten off to. Make sure you have all that fun stuff nearby. A couple of blocks, belt. Find yourself in that forward fold at the front edge of your mat. Step back with one foot, step back with both feet. Find yourself in a downward facing dog. Take your feet as wide apart as the mat and take that happy dog for a walk. Bend one knee, then the other. Let your hips shift from side to side. Work up a good yawn as you let your head hang. Shake out your hair. Wiggle your jaw. Let your hips dance from side to side. Helping to make nice with that lower back, just in case you weren't quite holding your tummy in that dancer pose. We're doing this little stretch to help release that lower back. And then rise up on the tippy toes, bend your knees and put your knees down. All right, we're gonna go into a pigeon pose. I'll give you the alternative pigeon in a moment. But if you want to go for pigeon pose first, I recommend moving towards the front edge of your mat, having all your toys nearby. Stretch that right leg backward. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Press back through that right heel. And then with hands beneath your shoulders, exhale. Press your breath out like you're doing your cat pose. Try lifting that front knee off the mat so that you can swing that front foot over towards the opposite shoulder. Now notice my heel, it's near my pubic bone. With your heel towards your pubic bone, it's a deep lower back release. Some of you might need that lower back release after the dancer pose. If you need more of an outer hip and butt stretch, you might consider repositioning that heel from where the pubic bone is up towards the opposite shoulder. So if this is your left knee, your left foot swings up towards your right shoulder. So lift up, swing it wide. Try bringing that front shin more parallel to the front edge of your mat and flex that front foot. I'll give you more outer hip stretch. Your hip is floating off the mat, tuck a block underneath it. Support that hip. So your hips stay level. You can untuck your back toes and bow forward in your pigeon pose. That's what the front view looks like. And I'll turn sideways for you. See the profile view. So two options. The first option was your heel near the pubic bone. And that was a deep lower back release. If that wasn't rocking your world today, you wanted more outer hip stretch, and you swung that front shin forward, more parallel to the front edge of your mat. You flex the foot so you're on the pinky toe blade edge of the foot and get more of an outer hip butt stretch. The I don't want to do it option is the thread the needle. Thread the needle pose. And you could thread the needle and rock from side to side. So you could thread the needle and rock from side to side, even put a pillow underneath your head, make this even more comfortable. Or if you're still working that pigeon pose, you can play around with shifting your weight side to side. Maybe remove the block, take your hands wide, shift your weight side to side. So if you're in pigeon pose, you've been there for 3 or 4 breaths and the muscles have started to release from the bones and the bones have started to settle in. Now you can kind of play with it and find a slightly different angle, a slightly different orientation that gives you a good satisfying stretch. Remember, we did a bit of breathing exercises so we could separate the ribs from the hips. Maybe slide, translate your rib cage side to side. Maybe incorporate a little bit of a rib stretch. Some shoulder shrugging and unshrugging. Play around bending one elbow, dropping a shoulder, bending the other elbow, dropping the other shoulder. All kinds of twisting, stretching, and fidgeting you can play with in that pigeon pose. All right. If you're on your back, you're just going to stay on your back. You're going to recross and do the other leg for your thread the needle pose. If you're in pigeon, back toes curl under, belly lifts up, step forward, step back, switch sides. Again, 2 variations on pigeon. Variation number 1 is with that heel near the pubic bone, that front shin, that front thigh kind of narrow. It's a narrower pigeon. Everybody's pigeon has the back toes curled under so they can knee toe that back knee in towards midline. Maybe untuck the toes eventually. If you wanted more of an outer butt and hip stretch, abs pull in tight, swing that front foot forward, that front shin more parallel to the front edge of the mat, and keep that front foot flexed flat so you protect the knee. Whatever you choose to do, if you're in pigeon pose, I recommend taking at least 3 breaths, 4 breaths with something underneath that hip, just so that you can invite those bones to settle in, invite those muscles to hang from the bone. So stay here 3 or 4 breaths before you start playing with it. If you're lying on the floor doing your thread the needle, you can start rocking and playing with it almost immediately. In this thread the needle pose, both feet are flexed flat to protect the ankles. And you're pushing your lap away from you, even as you tick-tock it side to side. All right, pigeons. If you've been there for at least 3 or 4 breaths, you can play around with taking your hands wide, removing that block from beneath your hip, and swinging things around. Try to separate your ribs from your hips. Shrug your shoulders. Bend your elbow. Shift your weight all over the place. So yes, this is an intense hip thing, but you can also get some rib stretching, some side stretching, some shoulder stretching going on. Play around with it. And then release. Everybody's going to be making their way down onto their back with all the toys nearby. So you might consider having a pillow for underneath your head. Having those blocks nearby. And we'll finish with a quick little twist and then optional variation on Shavasana. So pillow underneath your head if you need it. How do you tell if you need a pillow? If when you put your head down on the ground, if it feels choky, uncomfortable, difficult to swallow, you probably need a pillow. Also, if your chin is higher than your nose, you probably need a pillow. If there's a deep wrinkle of skin at the base of your neck, you probably need a pillow. If not, then you don't. Shoulders away from your ears. Clutter nearby, but out of the way at the same time. Knees come into your chest. Rock your hips away from your shoulders. Spread your back out across the ground. And then arms move out of the way as you inhale. And exhale, drop both knees over to the right, coming into a twist. We've done a couple twists today. This will be the final twist of this class. Try to breathe into those side ribs. And then as you exhale, tuck those ribs in. Use your elbows on the floor to fidget your shoulders so they lie a little flatter. You can do that self-adjustment a couple times. Breathing into the side ribs. Exhale, tucking in those side ribs, jamming your elbows into the floor, and then fidget your shoulders so they lie a little flatter. And then let's switch sides. Lift that top leg up first, the bottom leg up second. Recenter yourself. Bring your knees into your chest. Rock from side to side. Open your arms out. And exhale all the way over to the other side. And then self-adjust. Breathing. Fidgeting. Settling in. And then finally lift that top leg up first, the bottom leg up second. Recenter once again. And you can lay out, suntan like Superman if you like. Such pull out, flat out starfish across the ground. Or if your lower back is still talking to you a little bit, you can tie your thighs together. And if you're tying your thighs together, you want to use a belt like it's a belt, not a tourniquet. Not here to cut off circulation, you're just here to hold your legs together. So if you know how to buckle your belt, great. If you don't, fine, tie a knot. Have it secure, but not overly tight. And if you've got a buckle, I recommend positioning the buckle so it's not against your skin. The legs are together, but not overly tight. And then feet separate, wider than your hips, toes turn in, knees lean together. And you can release your arms out to your sides. Once again, check in. Do you need a pillow? Can you swallow? Can you clear your throat? Can you find your breath moving in and out through your nose past that heaviness at the base of your throat? And we cultivate a deep, slow breath. Breathing in and out through your nose, past that heaviness at the base of your throat, cultivating that whispering ocean-like Ujjayi pranayama, victorious yoga breath, becoming victorious over your scattered thoughts, victorious over your fidgety body, and letting yourself rest in peace. Or begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms. Gather your legs up in against your chest and untie yourself. You can rub your feet together, rub your heads together. Spread your fingers, spread your toes, roll your ankles, roll your wrists, roll your whole body over onto one side, and keep rolling all the way over to a seated position. Sit any way you like. And we'll finish with hands together at the heart and with a word that can be used in farewell or in greeting as a sign of acknowledgement and respect. Namaste. Have a wonderful day.